Chairman Hefner, Vice Chairman Lopez, members of the committee, I'm Chuck DeVore. I'm the Chief National Initiatives Officer for the Texas Public Policy Foundation, and thank you so much for this opportunity to testify before this very important interim charge hearing. Texas's electric grid, energy facilities, water systems, ports, and other critical infrastructure, of course, we all know that they underpin our economy as well as national security. Disruptions, of course, can cascade very quickly, as we saw in the past with both Winter Storm Uri as well as the hurricanes that are prone to hitting our wonderful state. Federal responsibility is primary for many threats, yet civil defense has been deprioritized for decades. This is why Texas must lead where it can. We face three broad threat categories. I think we've heard them today. Natural disasters, of course, hurricanes, extreme solar storms that could damage high-voltage transformers, great power conflict, of course, most likely a Taiwan contingency involving the People's Republic of China, and terrorism, both jihadist and domestic. This committee is aware that the threat posed by natural disasters, I think you're all pretty much well read on that. I would, though, say that there is an exception that the threat from extreme solar storms is still likely very underappreciated. There was a study that the North American Electric Reliability Council has used that looked at a pretty quiescent period of European history with regard to solar activity, and so a lot of our baseline, I think, is erroneously pegged to a more quiet sun and should probably be reevaluated. As for terrorism, terrorist attacks, I don't see likely having a significant disruption, more so than those caused, for example, by natural disasters, because I see it the terrorists would have a difficult time generating the sort of force needed to really cause widespread destruction without being detected. So I think that great power conflict, in fact, is really where you ought to be focusing your concerns. China, of course, has already pre-positioned cyber access via groups such as Volt Typhoon. We heard about that earlier. In U.S. communications, energy, transportation, and water sectors, we're seeing some of the water sector attacks right now unfold. These will be using living off the land techniques for potential wartime disruption. Much of this will likely be aided by the presence of Trojan horse circuits or software already present on devices or components manufactured in China. We heard that from Dr. Emma Stewart earlier. Physical sabotage by covert teams or proxies is also a realistic risk, especially strategically significant drone attacks originating from, for example, Mexican territory. This is a distinct possibility. Governor Abbott's 2024 executive order and the creation of the Texas Advisory Committee on Geopolitical Conflict show that we are beginning to take these threats seriously. Prevention through expanded intelligence fusion, monitoring of foreign investments and land near sensitive sites, physical and cyber surveillance of key nodes, and aggressive detection of potential sabotage teams is essential. We should strengthen information sharing with federal partners while asserting state priorities, and treat adversary-linked operatives inside Texas with urgency, meaning identifying them and rolling them up before they act or conduct follow-on attacks. However, the hard reality is this: there is little likelihood that Texas or even the federal government acting alone can fully prevent or mitigate a large-scale kinetic attack on the power grid and related infrastructure. Adversaries operating below the threshold of open war, what China calls unrestricted warfare, and what we call the gray zone, already exploit gaps in surveillance, influence, cyber access, and physical reconnaissance. As recent congressional testimony has underscored, the United States remains ill-prepared at both the federal and state and local levels for these persistent overlapping activities by China, Russia, and others. A determined campaign using drones, sabotage teams, or coordinated cyber-physical means could still succeed in creating widespread, prolonged outages. Therefore, the practical priority must shift heavily towards hardening where cost-effective and, above all, toward rapid recovery. This means strategic stockpiles of long lead time critical components, especially large power transformers, managed for fast deployment, possibly through TDM or the National Guard in partnership with utilities. It means expanded medical and other essential stockpiles for key workforces. It means redundancy via distributed generation and microgrids, pre-positioned recovery equipment for water systems, and regular full-scale exercises that simulate combined natural disasters plus adversarial attacks. Incentives or requirements for risk-based physical and cyber hardening, as in network segmentation, drone detection, geomagnetic disturbances protections, where justified, could accompany these efforts. Texas can also strengthen deterrence by clarifying and enhancing penalties for weaponized or payload-carrying drones used against critical infrastructure, and by ensuring that state law works in concert with federal statutes that already authorize severe punishment, including life imprisonment or, in wartime contexts under military commissions, potentially the death penalty, for sabotage of national defense utilities or energy facilities. That the Lone Star Critical Infrastructure Protection Act has this $1 million fine. I see that as insufficient when you're talking about state-directed actors. $1 million as a potential deterrence isn't going to deter the Chinese Communist Party from doing what they think needs to be done. In short, expand intelligence and aggressively disrupt foreign sabotage teams operating in Texas. Harden what we reasonably can, but plan, train, stockpile spares, and build muscle memory for rapid restoration, because a major kinetic or hybrid attack is a realistic possibility that we cannot fully prevent. By doing so, Texas protects its people and economy regardless of the threat vector. Of course, I'd be delighted to answer any questions. Thank you.